Hello, everybody. It is
Hi
Friday
everyone, bonjour à
again.
tous.
How's everybody feeling today?
Okay.
Good, good.
Yeah,
Nikolai, as usual. Nobody can see behind the scenes, but just joined us 1 microsecond ago.
yeah. Right on time.
Right on time. Today our guest is Jonathan Huggins, owner of Huggins International. He's got a very special story. I think an American citizen living in Mexico, but before that, before introducing Jonathan from LangFest, I think we would like to send out a message, an announcement to everyone who's watching right now. A big development in the venue situation for LangFest. We will be holding for the first time. LangFest 2019 will be held at Université de Montréal, University of Montreal. It's a beautiful campus right along the side of Mont Royal, and it's a very convenient location, although it is not downtown per se. But if you live right beside a metro station, or if you have a hotel right there, you can access it very easily. There's actually 3 subway stations that services
Yeah.
Université Montreal
Including
campus.
one that's right at the foot of the university.
Well, there you
That's
go.
I think the point that is. So in terms of closeness to the metro, it's the same as Concordia. I mean, Concordia had its own metro station, and Université de Montréal,
Also has one, yeah.
same. That there's the name of the university even. So
Yeah,
it's like
and
Concordia.
I think what's going to be a big change by going to Université of Montreal is that it's a big campus, a lot of greenery right around there. We get to walk outside and really enjoy the fresh air between the sessions. So it's a change. We want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Concordia for the past 3 years. It's been wonderful. This year we'll try a little change. So thank you to Université Montréal to to host us this year. So
Absolutely.
now, Jonathan Huggins, this is our first of a series. I think for our live to present our speakers for 2019. Jonathan is one of our confirmed speakers, and in fact, he is the first one on the series. So, welcome, Jonathan. I'm not going to talk too much. I've already talked enough. Let's start with you. A little introduction.
So yeah, thank you Tetsu and thank you Nicholas and yeah this actually I got a chance to talk with Joey last year as well. So this is a pleasure to be back and talk with the two of you this time.
Great.
Fantastic. So, Jonathan, we are LangFest, so we talk everything about languages. We know that so far I know that you are a language teacher with a lot of experience. So let's start with your language journey, your relationship and love with or hate, I don't know, with languages.
It's been a long-term love of
Fantastic.
languages. So I got started in high school, so you can probably see a little bit of the gray hair now. But I got started with Spanish in my freshman year, and this was back in '95. So I've been learning languages now for about 24 years. Um, like most Americans, I was starting off with like probably just the language requirement, about 2 years of Spanish. But then I enjoyed it, and then I decided to keep going with Spanish, and then take on French one, and then the Spanish helped accelerate the French studies, and so I skipped from French one to French three, and then in my last year of high school, I was in like Spanish four and French three. And then I wanted to start German, but my school didn't have German. So I started taking some night classes at a local community college. And then in my last, in spring, my French teacher organized a trip to Europe. And so I visited Geneva for a week with a host family. And then we went to Paris for a week. And that just was life changing. I was like, wow, I was just really in my element in Europe, and on the airplane, sitting next to like a German speaker, and then a Spanish speaker, and then with my class of French students, I was just so thrilled when I got to Europe. It was just a language paradise, and I was like, I want to move back here. So eventually, I did move to Europe a few years later. But
fantastic.
Where was that? Where did you end up moving?
In Paris I lived there for 6 years and studied at the Sorbonne, and then taught English as well at businesses.
Well, when we hear stories about folks getting exposed to languages in their high school years, sometimes we hear stories like yourself. They're broaden their horizons and they're so interested in it. But more often than not, we see people just go through 5 years, 6 years of high school learning their second language and they don't succeed. So it's good to hear your story of somebody who loved it, even in the academic setting. You want to maybe develop on what triggered this love. You think is this just a personality thing, or is this a good teacher? Is this an environment thing?
I think it was a little bit of everything. Also, my parents have been very supportive. My dad is also like dabbling in tons of little languages. So
okay, there you go. Okay,
he had like all of the Pimsleur catalog. So I think I just took on that, and they thought at some point I was probably a little crazy because I would have cassette tapes of Pimsleur in at least 4 or 5 languages playing in the same time.
That's not crazy.
So,
a lot of people could do that.
It would be like, ask the woman, would she like to get something to eat? And then I was responding this like something else, another conversation in German and French. And so they would like open the door, like, I'll come back. It's just a little crazy, but they've been very supportive, and just hearing their experience as well. My dad was in the Air Force. He traveled. My mother was a French major at her university, and then she had spent a summer in Grenoble in '68. So she knew all of the what going on in Paris in '68 at that time, and so this just kind of gave me a lot of interest in, wow, I could learn languages, I could travel, I could meet lots of people from around the world, and it's kind of spiraled.
Well, I mean, not all kids think that way, I think. So, your upbringing with parents who are open-minded probably transmitted that down, and I understand that you are transmitting that down to your kids also. But that'll be a topic for another day. I want to take a minute now to sort of switch gears, but before that. I see quite a few people on our live stream right now. So how about we sort of say hi to Chanel, to Tatiana, to Elena. I mean, we've got folks chiming in from Russia. Probably some folks that in there. Maybe you want to say hi.
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to the 30-day speaking challenge community and participants who are very supportive, and definitely telling them, hey, come check this out. And a big shout out to Tatiana and Elena, Olo, and Chanel. So yeah, thank you for joining and participating here. Also want to give a shout out to a Korean learner. I mean, she's actually American learning Korean, and her birthday is today.
Wow.
For Megan, I want to say Shingshin Kamida. I think that's happy birthday in Korean, if I didn't mess that up. But, I learned that just for her for today.
Wow. We're very happy to be able to announce that on LangFest. So happy birthday. I wouldn't try to replicate what you just said, but wow, it's good. Happy birthday. So, speaking of the 30-day challenge, I mean, I understand this is something you started, and it's sort of a movement that you're taking care of. Want to let us know a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we are now just a week after celebrating our 2nd anniversary. This is a monthly challenge that I've been I send an email each day. Each email, it's fresh. It has some new language advice, topics to discuss or reflect on and talk about. And then I encourage people to record themselves speaking on that for about a minute or 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be too long. It doesn't have to be on video. I encourage people to use a recording tool like SpeakPipe voice recorder. And then we share the link to that recording on a Google document for the target language. And that becomes like a mini forum for that language. And in this month, we have about 20 to 30 languages for those documents, separate documents.
Wow.
So it's a really, really international community, people from almost every continent, I would say, and they're learning a variety of languages. And then little by little, there are people who participate month after month, and they definitely see this progress of maybe they start off being a little shy, having limited vocabulary, maybe the pronunciation's a little shaky, and they don't know kind of how to get started. And this encourages them to just speak a little bit. And then maybe they get some feedback, they get some encouragement, and then they speak a little bit more. And then over the course of a couple of weeks, they start to feel more comfortable, have more confidence, and they start to interact with other learners and native speakers. It's just a very, very supportive, encouraging community.
Wow.
And I'm just very privileged to kind of be leading that, but a lot of people are kind of inspiring me, motivating me as well with my language learning.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, is there like a specific theme for every month? A specific language that's featured, or is this really...
We don't necessarily have a specific theme. It just keeps evolving as life evolves. So if there was the Oscars a couple weeks ago, we might talk about movies and actors. Or if there's something about spring, I might bring that up. But then I have to realize that, okay, it's not spring for everyone in the Southern Hemisphere.
That's right.
It's not spring for us.
Yeah, so I have to kind of be aware of maybe Christmas is not white, snowy Christmas for some people. It might be summer at the beach kind of a thing. So it really causes me to be aware of how international the community is and how certain topics might be kind of more universal and less, but it's also the community input as well. One of my favorite activities to do is to ask everybody, come up with 5 questions, like 5 icebreakers. So when we do that, we usually get up like about 100 to 200 icebreaker questions, and then everybody can kind of just pick and choose what they find interesting, and then hold on to those questions for speaking topics.
So I may have missed this part. So you do this on a Google document? You record yourself?
And then they share their recording, the link to the recording in the Google document.
Yeah.
Just hit paste,
so
and then underneath
it's a kind of it's a semi-private sharing. So they're not sharing it on social media, like to the world, in open groups, something like that. It stays within the community.
They can if they want.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will record themselves on YouTube. And then make an unlisted video if they prefer. Some people are like, oh, it's a public video. They realize like, hey, I could slightly become a vlogger by doing this.
There you go. So
people might take advantage of Instagram and then use the hashtag. So however people feel comfortable, or it's a very flexible.
So it's not a real time thing. It's not like this. It's not, you don't all get together online at the same time. I
try to encourage that from time to time to see like, hey, who would be available to meet this day at this time. Sometimes it depends on the time zone and if people are available, or so because it's so international, I can't quite guarantee that there's going to be a minimum amount of people there. So it's more asynchronous. So they'll make the recording, post it, and then throughout the day, people can check the Google document and then leave some feedback. So it becomes a work document. And we also have the Facebook group for it, but I like having it be a separate work document where you're not necessarily getting notifications on like a WhatsApp group and just buzz, 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 and you ignore it. It's a little bit like you want to go check out the document, see if there are any updates, listen to somebody's recording. It's kind of like a message in a bottle.
Interesting.
And
you know, there are a few, 90-day challenges or other types of challenges, but I mean, I don't know how they work. I've never really participated in one, but what triggered this idea? I mean, what made you start, thinking I want to lead a group, and how actually, like was there's no fan base, or I don't know, was this your students? How did you start this?
So I did take part in two language challenges of one of the first ones I did was called Language Heroes, which is a Russian community on VK, the Vkontakte, and I had some contacts who invited me. I was one of the first foreigners to be participating, learning Russian, so I got a full exposure of a couple hundred Russian speakers from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, just bombarding me with Russian. And then they voted me king at the end of those 12 weeks, and because I'd made so much progress. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then that's
what I'm calling you now. King Jonathan.
And then I came in contact with Brian Kwong of the
Ad One Challenge. Okay.
And then I interviewed him for my podcast, and then he said, hey, you should check out Ad One Challenge. I joined that for Russian, and I really like the idea of these progress videos, so like day 0, day 30, day 60, day 90. After 1 week, on day 7, I said, I'm going to do this on a daily basis. And that's really where this idea for the 30-day speaking challenge started, was my experience in Ad One.
I see.
Because I was just day 7, day 8, day 9, day 9. I just recorded myself for like 90 to 100 days.
Wow.
And that daily progress, like I didn't have really a mentor or somebody sending me emails or giving me topics to think about. I just went on YouTube almost before midnight at the end of the day and just like, I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do today, but I just was speaking and practicing. Sometimes it'd be like,
that's,
in a newspaper.
That's really a great idea, because, whenever people ask me about, I teach my kids how to, speak different languages. I always stress one word, and that is habit. And, if you do it every day, you build a habit, and before you know it, it becomes second nature. So people think, well, it's a big burden, but, you do a lot of things in your life that are basically habits. You don't really think of it as a burden. And I mean, some habits are bad, but you have good habits. So this is really about developing a good habit, and I think you're onto something really, really good.
But what do you find happens at the end of the 30-day challenge? So do a lot of people continue, because it seems that probably you have a boost during the challenge because you're motivated to participate and to share with your things, whatever you're doing, and then so do you find that, I imagine there's some people who will go on, and learn more, some others who will maybe not have the time and motivation. So how do you deal with that, participants going further than the challenge itself?
I going into the 3 months, 90 days, 12 week, I think I settled on like a least common denominator was 30 days. And I said, like, okay, 3 months from now just feels like a really long time. 12 weeks from now feels like a long time. Part of the 12-week concept, there was a book by Brian P. Moran called The 12-Week Year, and that seemed to take this idea of like crunch your year-long goals into 12 weeks, and then each week is a month, and then there would be this kind of cycle of like euphoria and a boost of energy, and then you kind of dip, and then you come back up. And I wanted to just bring all of that down into a 1 month cycle. And I thought, okay, I might not be able to see myself 3 months from now, 12 weeks from now, 90 days from now, but I can see myself maybe a month from now. That was still tangible. Yeah. And I think for other people, this kind of, you start with a euphoria, you maybe dip into 2 weeks, a week or so, and then you kind of come back up. and it's just a mini cycle. And I encourage people to join the next month. I kind of kick them off the list, so they have to sign back up again for the next month. So it's a constant renewal of, are you in, or are you going to go do something else? And checking the email service, I can see that, like, wow, these are some really hardcore language learners because they were on this month, this month, this month, this month, this month, and they will keep joining and coming back. And I think part of it is
keeps the community active at all times. You have the people who are, who have the time and motivation to be active in the challenge.
But being able to see, I think it's brilliant. You can see. I mean, 1 month from now, this, I need to work hard for this month, and I'll have like a milestone. I'll have achieved something. You'll feel good about yourself. Whereas 3 months or 6 months down the road, it's like, it's only week 3. I guess from a motivational perspective, it's easier to manage. It's a bite-sized.
It constantly keeps people kind of. Are you making progress? Mm-hmm. Are you staying on?
So
and the thing with that 1 month is that the next month, the start of like the next first of the month, becomes a new slate. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think of like, I'm committed to this thing for the next 3 months, and I'm like, just I don't know, not motivated, distracted, or discouraged. It's suddenly it becomes like, okay, I have to wait another 60 days to start over again. And I try to tell the community as well, if it's, yes, maybe it's a 30-day challenge, but I like to look at it as a 1-day challenge that gets repeated 30 times.
Oh wow! I should write all these down as famous quotes by King Jonathan. we have some comments, from the folks. Tatiana said Jonathan is our language king, so you are indeed.
Spasiba.
Oh yeah, and John, hang on, I lost the comment here. So Tatiana, so John McLeod also said, is saying hi, and the 30-day speaking challenge is fantastic. It's truly an international community, and Jonathan is an amazing inspirational organizer, role model for successful language learning. There you go.
Thank you, John.
You didn't say it. Nicola didn't say it. I didn't say it. The folks learning from you are saying it. So this is brilliant feedback. At our event also every year we try to gather feedback from the participants, and what we hear, the good stuff, it makes us feel good. The bad stuff allows us to improve, and so any feedback is always good. As organizers, we meet a lot of obstacles. Well, what are just just a few? I'm sure you have a long list, but just the top few obstacles that you faced in this language challenge thing.
Tech. I would say tech has been a little bit of. Every month, I keep trying to simplify, and I do appreciate a lot of the feedback and a lot of the input from everybody, because I've seen some reviews of the challenge in other forums or on websites or blog posts and things, and like people say, I wanted to join, it looked all interesting, but that first email was just this wall of text. And I'm like, okay, fix that. So try to simplify on, make it easy, make it simple, make it, so there's a lot of, the more I do, the less I do. To try to get things started. Simplify. Other obstacles, absence of feedback seems to be something where if you don't get feedback, if it's not instantaneous results of like, okay, I made a recording, I don't feel fluent now, and realize like, okay, this is it's like going to the gym.
Totally.
Dedicate some time, commit to it for a longer period, and trying to get people into a help each other. Sometimes it's you can lead a horse to water. Sometimes I can provide a platform, but a lot of the people who participate on a regular basis, I think they understand the help others, serve others, and you in turn will get help and support as well. So that's been a few of the obstacles. So some of the mindset to a community, or some of the tech, or instant results, instant fluency. I don't have a pill for that, not yet, but we're working on it.
But I love what you said earlier. You know, it's a 1 day challenge repeated 30 times. Every 30 days you have a milestone, and all the hard work you're putting into it. You know, it's coming back, and with a lot of appreciation. I mean, we can see it in the comments already. Tatiana says that challenge is already my habit for 2 years. So she's been with you for a long time. That's definitely good.
There are some very supportive people. People have been also. I had a language exchange Facebook group. It still exists, but it's a bit in the behind the scenes now. But for example, with Tatiana, I was meeting every Saturday morning. I would be waking up, doing a kind of a virtual hangout, and having a couple people joining on a Saturday morning since I want to say since 2015. I want to say we were doing that for a couple years, and then the speaking challenge just that started to take some of these ideas of let's get people practicing, let's get them into a daily habit. So yeah, definitely Tatiana has been very supportive. So I would say even more than 2 years.
Well, here's another feedback for you. Elena says the most difficult part was just to start. I mean, perhaps I guess the easier you're able to make it for people to start, kick it off, then it says, then Elena says it becomes a habit, and you've been getting to like it, and then it's actually so much fun. Jonathan is our hero. He's our light in the dark tunnel. It's just praises after praises. So
thank you.
It seems to the participants at least that kicking it off, that trigger, that little catalyst at the beginning may be something you want to focus on to get people started. But we've talked enough about your 30-day wonderful project. There's only praises. But what else does Jonathan do during his day? Is this your day job? Is it I don't know. What is your day job?
I'm also teaching English online and doing a lot of exam preparation for the TOEFL.
All right.
And I would say that the experience I have with the speaking section, where students have to record themselves with a computer, was a lot of inspiration for the speaking challenge as well. So is helping students with have to record themselves for 45 seconds, 60 seconds, and then applying all those techniques to how could we do that for a general language approach. But so there's a lot of input on teaching English, teaching conversational English, helping people with interview skills, like they go to a job and we have to deal with questions. So it's just a lot of things get recycled in there. And then I have my kids, my family. My kids are my son is 6 and my daughter is 4, and they are learning in Spanish, French, English. So I'm constantly just in this language kind of environment and speaking 3 languages or more on a daily basis.
So why French and Spanish?
My wife is French Mexican, and the kids are going to a French Spanish speaking school. So English is actually their minority language.
That doesn't come often.
I know. I try to get them to speak English, but my son resisted a little bit. He told me, my teeth are Mexican. I have to speak Spanish.
Mexican teeth.
Where do you live in Mexico?
In Mexico City.
In Mexico City. Okay.
So I've been here for 10 years, and my children were born here. So we try to travel back to California, where I'm from. But yeah, sometimes the kids are like, well, I'll speak English in California when we travel. I speak to them in English. They respond back to me in Spanish, sometimes in French. My daughter practiced a little bit of her English with me. It's trying to figure out. So I think I follow a lot what you're doing, Tetsu, with your kids, to see how to encourage them to speak a variety of languages.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same wavelength when it comes to, habit. It's just applying it consistently. Um, not forcing things, but try to make it easy and natural for them to use whatever language they're using. So, I mean, our religion is what is called Opal, one person, one language. I consistently, and exclusively speak Mandarin with the kids. My wife, Japanese, school here in Quebec, it's in French. And we have an au pair from Mexico
Hmm.
who would speak only Spanish with the kids, and that's their environment. So it's only natural for them to speak these languages, and it started on day one, or even I
Hmm.
would say lots of times I say even before day one I was speaking to my wife's tummy, yeah, in Mandarin.
Hmm.
So it's planned out, and it's worked out very well. Knock on
Hmm.
wood. Let's see how many years we can continue this, and we'll just try our best. That's all we can do.
Yeah, yeah. I think just give them the stimulating environment for them
Hmm.
to blossom in,
That's
and
right.
see how it goes from there.
That's right. So, so time is winding down. We
Yeah.
we are gonna ask Jonathan your what's in the near term or midterm or long term future. You're gonna be in Mexico all the time, or you're gonna be working in languages the whole time. What's in your mind?
Um, well, for the near future, the next couple months, I'm definitely looking forward to LangFest, and that will be
All
an
right.
opportunity to present, go
Good
into a little
answer.
bit more about the speaking challenge, and also to meet all of you, and definitely meet a lot of people who've been participating in
That's right.
these the challenges. Um, I'm going to keep teaching and trying to grow the platform, and there maybe these emails that I've been sending out, I'm going to turn those into a book, hopefully,
Oh
about
wow.
the as like topics that people could use on a daily basis. And right now, yeah, staying in Mexico, there might be opportunities to travel, maybe Europe, maybe even Montreal. That's been something in our potential projects.
It's a short flight away.
Yeah, it's not it's far. There were some plans previously to possibly study in Sherbrooke for my
Wow.
wife.
That's like 40
Unfortunately,
minutes. That's like 40 minutes from
unfortunately
my
we
place.
didn't get the unfortunately we didn't get the Canadian general visa. We
Oh,
we got the Quebec permit
the
and
COE.
authorization, but we didn't get the the one for the entire
Oh,
federation. So
wow.
that didn't work out. But it's still something perhaps in the future. We never know.
Well, best of
Okay.
luck. Of luck in all your endeavors.
Mhm.
So, we have a last few minutes. We're gonna, I think, repeat what we announced at the beginning of the session. For those of you who only joined in the middle, we did announce big announcement for LangFest that we will be holding it at Université de Montréal. That's University of Montreal for the first time this year. And the campus is it's a beautiful campus full of nature and lots of greenery right near the Oratoire Saint Joseph. What's that in English? The Saint Joseph Oratory, I guess.
I think so.
One of the the landmarks of Montreal. So it's a test. It's a nice place. It's a change of scenery. We do appreciate the past 3 years at Concordia University and want to shout out to the institution and their staff for their hospitality. But this year we're going to try something new, and it's a very big campus. It actually has 3 subway stations, and it's very easy access. And between sessions, for our mingling, we can go outside, catch a breath of fresh air. So once again, August 23rd to 25th, LangFest will be held at University of Montreal. And I remember, did I say something else? Did I miss anything, Nicola?
No, I think that's the announcement. That's the main news for LangFest today.
Okay. Now, also So today we had Jonathan Huggins with us. He is first of a series of interviews with confirmed speakers at the 2019 LangFest. So once again, Jonathan is the first one to be on this series. I hope he enjoyed the experience. We didn't drill you too much with.
Oh, it's a pleasure talking with you guys and connecting with your followers and also people joining to watch. And so yeah, this is just a lot of momentum. Looking forward to building up these next couple months.
Exactly. The activities are ongoing behind the scenes. So as I mentioned, we've got the venue set down. We have almost all of our speakers. So the lineup is being prepared as we speak. To schedule them for this interview. We're getting their photos, their bios, we're translating that. All of that is coming on our website. As we go, it's on a rolling basis. And also, we mentioned a few weeks ago that we now have an app for LangFest. So it's a LangFest app. Everything will be, in that app. The agenda, the program, the schedule, the bios, the photos, and all other types of links that we can have for all activities at LangFest. Even before LangFest, we'll let you guys download it and get accustomed to it. So definitely, that's another development for LangFest 2019. So, that's pretty much all I have to say. It was a wonderful interview. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for taking the time.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have any final words or all your links. We've put some in the description. If there's any other links that you want to put, just don't hesitate to throw them into the comment section or send it to me. I'll put it into the description. But we're here to support you all the way.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would say the big link is the 30-day speaking challenge. At any level that you're at, you're welcome to join us. The topics are flexible, and we're there to support you to get as much speaking practice as possible.
Fantastic. So next week, main post, we will have another meeting with another speaker, actually 2 speakers. So it's just a little hint, but please look forward to that. We're always on our Facebook page and on YouTube at noon Eastern Time on Friday. Until then, see you next week.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.